Trigger warning for the following topics: child endangerment, sexual harassment, and grooming. Hello, my name is Yen, and today I would like to talk about a much more serious topic than my last video, something that many people in the art commentary community and slideshow commentary community will know all too well due to its extensive coverage by creators such as Akumu and Lakumo Laka, and discussed extensively over the last 4 years of the existence of the FCK server, also known as the Fruitcake Club server, and the degeneracy, pedophilic behaviour, and child endangerment that happened within this server. But like I said, this situation has been discussed extensively, so what more else can I add to this discussion? Well, I bring the focus of this video onto one user in particular from the FCK server, ToastyVanilla. Now, I'm well aware that Toasty wasn't the only bad actor within the FCK server, but for the purpose and the focus of this video, I will only like to talk about what Toasty did. Resources on the entire FCK situation will be linked in the description down below. This video will be broken down into a few different parts, first starting with who Toasty was as a content creator, then moving on to their actions within the FCK server, and then the new information that I have discovered. As I'm aware, a lot of the people who are going to be seeing this video already know most of the information in regards to the FCK server. However, there are some who have not. I will be leaving timestamps down below for those who wish to skip ahead. Now that introductions are out of the way, let's get into the meat and potatoes of everything that I'll be talking about. ToastyVanilla was a small content creator whose channel is still up, currently sitting at the time of recording at 1.65k subscribers, where a lot of the videos have been unlisted since everything about Toasty came to light. But thankfully, I was handed an archive of some of their videos, and I think it's important to highlight some of the content on Toasty's channel. And to do this, I will be analysing one video in particular from Toasty's channel, titled Toasty Overthrows and Bribes Discord Mod. Keep in mind I will be editing and cutting into certain parts of this video, and I'll be marking on screen where I've been doing that, as to not seem like I'm cutting stuff out of context. Me showing this is just to give a brief overview of the type of content that Toasty would expose their audience to.
When I came across a channel that piqued my interest, it only had 1.2k subscribers, and you know what, I'll just let the screenshot speak for itself. You kind of get the gist here of what it's about. And nonetheless, it piqued my interest. So I decided to join their Discord server, and thus I was plunged into the chaos of this server. Many were very confused, including the owner herself, who at the time was trying to take away everyone's license to come. Hello and welcome to Fashia's Christmas Cunt. I approached her. So what will it be? Kneecaps or no kneecaps?
Surrender your cummies, bitch.
Now, I had clearly been outplayed, and I was in a sticky situation. How could I have forgotten the ban on cum? And here I was, cum in my balls, standing in front of the server owner. It was a very tense situation. However, we did strike a deal. I would hand her my cummies in exchange for the endorsement of Rule 12. However, that didn't fly past her. She slapped me with a counteroffer. You see, I could keep my cummies, and I would get a cum license, as long as she didn't have to abide by the new rule, or give up her kneecaps. I was desperate, so I had to accept it.
Now, why am I showing this video in particular? Well, it gives us a good example of the kind of sexual content that Toasty would put onto their channel and expose to their rather young audience. Now, if we look into this video's description, we can see that the person who worked on the editing and doing the thumbnail for this video was a person called Teddy That Draws, a 16-year-old kid. Now, I don't have to point out the issues of this without it being apparent, but for those who aren't clocking it, Toasty was an 18 to 19-year-old at the time of this video being made. And despite this, Toasty had their help in making this very sexual video. At the end of this video, there is a fan art page featuring very sexually charged artwork of Toasty's character that I will have to blur out for the most part, but at least one of them features drawing done by a 14-year-old called Slummers. Now, those who have been in the ACC for a while will remember that name from the Madame drama. Toasty and others in this FCK were highly aware of that, and having made their own videos on the drama and dropping Slummers' name in all their videos, including Toasty.
So when I saw this Madame shit going on, I was like, hey, that's a person I've had some interactions with. Now, before I go into my experiences, let me explain what happened with her drama. Basically, Madame was browsing for some character stills when along came a small innocent 15-year-old artist. And she goes up to Madame and says,
"Oh, hey Mr. Madame, I made you this cool drawing, I hope you like it.
So, just so that we're keeping track, Toasty has so far exposed 2 minors to sexually charged topics within one video. Now that about wraps up this part about who Toasty was as a content creator. However, there is one more gem I would like to share from the end of their trolling video.
And if you are watching this in the future, I'm probably a cunt in the future, I'm not gonna lie.
That one didn't age quite so well.
The FCK server was made in late 2019 and over time had more and more people join, mainly people from the art commentary community such as Hopeless Peaches, Toby, Nezzy Monster, Miss Easy, The Name's Junkie, Susie Doodletones, Just a Robot, Mad Libs, and of course, ToastyVanilla. There are also underage children in the server, as seen in the list on screen. These will be important to note later on into this video. All the names that I have listed along with their ages is public information as per Lakamolaka's FCK stream. Now I feel like it's important to note that not every single person that was in the FCK server had the exact same level of involvement, as people like Just a Robot clearly didn't seem to understand anything that was going on within the server, as there's no evidence for them doing so. If you wish for more information about other people's involvement within the FCK server, I would like to direct you to Akumu's FCK Maxim video and the rest of their content on the channel, as they've been carefully cataloguing the situation over the years. Now, if there was any doubt in people's mind of these people not understanding who Slummers was and what the Madame situation was, we can clearly see that in Code 4 of the server rules. You can see that Toasty states the reason why the server was created in the first place. Now I can finally start to explain why this server was so controversial and why everyone got so much flack for its existence and the content within it. Despite the fact that everyone seemed to understand that there were minors in the server, it did not stop sexual topics from happening, along with posting sexual content, NSFW artwork, and making very sexual jokes. Now, if I was to go through every single screenshot in regards to the actions that were done within the FCK server, this video will be extremely long. However, I will be highlighting a few instances that I have found that I find quite indicating of ToastyVanilla's behaviour, and their lack of being able to control themselves. Slummers. Send the vor pic. Monkey lad. The what pic? Toasty. Say her full name, Skullgirls. You're doing her disjustice. Slummers. Toasty, show the bug the vote pic you always have. For. The one with Sandy. Toasty. Say its full name. Monkey lad. Oh god, oh fuck. Sandy? Sandy Cheeks? Slummers. Yes. Monkey lad. What? Why? Toasty. Say the full name, Slummers. Monkey lad. Please. Slummers. Because I had to see it, so do you. Oh my fucking god, send the vor pic of Skullgirls. Toasty. Yes, but it has a full name. The Sandy Cheeks Giantess Cockvor. Jesus, was that so hard? Monkey lad. Oh god. Slummers. Yes. Toasty then proceeds to send this image. Thankfully, Akumu had managed to blur this image in their FCK Maxim video. Thank you, Akumu. But when this image was originally sent, it was definitely not blurred. And as you can see, Slummers is in the chat. And as we all know by this point, Slummers was a minor. There was another instance of these kinds of images being sent within the chat. And keep in mind, this isn't even the NSFW chat of the server. Like, that would change very much. However, there was a case of another image being sent, and instead the character was Hatsune Miku. Yes, I wish very much that I was making this up. Toasty. At Slummers. Have you seen the Rule 34 of my Go character? Slummers. Show. Monkey lad. Wait, are you talking about the Futa one? Toasty. The only valid version of me is the Futa version. Monkey lad. That's the true you. Now, it doesn't take much of a genius to realise that I had to crop off this image because it is literally just NSFW porn posted by Toasty. And yes, again, in front of minors. And probably other minors within the FCK saw this, and just didn't comment. Slummers. How do you crop so damn fast? No, I can't see it because my Gmail's fucked up. Fuck you. Deleted user. Hi. Toasty. I'd fuck me too, Slummers. ToastyVanilla. I had sex with James. At Jamesy. I miss you, bruv. Jamesy. I miss you too, Toasty. I feel like it's important to know that Jamesy was actually one of the 16-year-olds within the FCK leaks, meaning that Toasty is talking this way to another minor. Mimi. Shut up, at Toasty. I just couldn't find the original meme. Also, good morning, babe. Say it back. Toasty. Good morning, sex slave. Mimi. Yes. Toasty. At Mimi. You're fucking weird. Mimi. So are you. Toasty. Mimi. Let me ask you one question. What the fuck is this doing in my fucking notifications? Mimi. At Toasty. What you said, sex slave. So I went with it. Toasty. Ass emoji. Mimi. Wave. Now, I feel like this has built quite a decent case and the kind of things that ToastyVanilla would do within the FCK server, especially in the presence of minors. There are a few other instances that I'd like to highlight, so I'll be showing an interview that was done between ToastyVanilla and Phantom Heart.
Hopeless Peaches was in it at one point. Oh yeah, she was a blast. I want to tell a specific story about that one, but it's a bit inappropriate, so I'm gonna hold off for now.
Oh. Don't worry, I'm over 18, so if you prefer specific parts to be cut
actually,
from
no,
the video,
okay.
I can cut them.
Nah, that's fine. It's not like that bad. It's just like, so I was alone in VC once. I didn't know I was in VC. I hear a badum, and then there's fucking Peaches. And she starts being like, hey, what are you, a loser? Being alone in here in VC. And I'm like, I'm surprised because at the time I was fucking masturbating.
Oh my gosh.
She didn't hear it. She didn't know it. But like I immediately stopped everything and she was like, "Oh, what are you doing in here alone? Were you a loser? You little dork, you little fucking like pussy ass bitch." And I'm like, "Peaches." And like she goes on with that for a while and I'm like, "Peaches, listen. Are you in here for a reason? Are you in here to chat? Because I was in the middle of something, all right? And I want to know if I should like continue doing that something or like just stop doing it and then like have a talk with you." And she was like, "Oh, what were you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, it's something all men do. I was like in the middle of fucking jacking off. I'd like to continue that, thank you."
I guess because I too start masturbating inside of Discord servers where anyone can join the voice call and hear what is going on. Imagine if it wasn't Hopeless Peaches who joined the call, except someone like Slumers or Teddy. What would have happened then? But thank God none of the minors in the server were made aware of this happening. Right? Right. Toasty. At Slumers. Hey, wanna hear a funny story? Slumers. Sure. Toasty. Like 3 hours ago, at Hopeless Peaches, walked in on my masturbating and started to shame me for being alone in VC that I didn't know I was in. This happened in this server. Slumers. So Peaches shamed you? Toasty. No, she thought it was the funniest shit ever because I was just like, hi Peaches, didn't expect you here. She didn't know until I told her, so she just started going on a tangent about how I'm a loser being alone in VC. Slumers. Thank God I didn't join. Now I've shown in both the screenshot and the interview, Toasty does say that they did this on accident. However, given the fact that they decided to engage with conversation with the person that saw them in the VC, I find it just overall really weird and shows that they have really weird sexual prolificity and absolutely no shame at all. And then went on to go ahead and show this story and specifically ping Slumers, who Toasty knew was a minor. So this just shows that Toasty wanted to tell Slumers about a sexual story that occurred very directly, making no attempts at safeguarding. For the following screenshots, the person who is labelled deleted user is actually Teddy That Draws, another one of the minors within FCK that I briefly mentioned, and is one of Toasty's thumbnail artists. Teddy, and I still ain't used to it. Toasty, well Teddy, just don't say the N-word. Teddy, Nigel, necromancy. Toasty, no, I'm referring to Teddy, don't say Teddy. Toasty! Ah yes, very appropriate for you to use that kind of language in front of a minor. And before I see someone in the comments going, "Oh Yen, well, it's the internet, people will say whatever they want." Yeah, but this is a private server and Toasty could just choose not to say these kinds of words in front of minors. Toasty, good. It's better than being lonely. It's better than hurt or heartbroken. It's better than sad. At Teddy, so I've done my job. Would you like to be tucked in and given a goodnight kiss, my princess? Teddy, I never said I wanted though. Wait, hold on. Another instance of Toasty being inappropriate with another minor. Teddy, who? Toasty likes me. He said he wants my dildo in his ass. Toasty, I only love you for your money, Teddy. Teddy, frowny face. But you pay me. Wouldn't I be the one into your money? I hope that a few of the examples that I've shown in this video of the stuff that happened within FCK that Toasty did was enough to convince you of what kind of an individual they are. Unfortunately, that's not the extent of what Toasty has done, as I will be showing you some of the personal interactions between Teddy and Toasty in their own personal DMs. Teddy, why though? You aren't dating me, Toasty. Because we're probably going to be working together for a long time, so why not to get to know each other? We're going to be evolving our craft together over the years. Teddy. Lamau. A fucking course. That's just how it be. I don't know how me being a dom makes a difference. Toasty. It doesn't. It just caught me by surprise. Teddy. Haha, I suppose so. I like some soft guys who like being sub. Toasty. The fuck? Why'd you want to stab me? Teddy. Because you're so cute and I hate that. Toasty. So are you actually a top? Teddy. I'm a switch. But yeah, sure. Toasty. Oh hey, me too. Teddy. I lamau. Epic. That's the only way to be. There is one final part I would like to share in regards to FCK. And that was when Toasty commissioned Hopeless Peaches to draw artwork depicting Toasty and Teddy in a compromising situation. Toasty, you're welcome. I still care about you. Grump, get moldy. Toasty, no, I won't get moldy. By the way, @Grump, @DeletedUser, image. Thoughts? Grump, who drew? Stop tagging Teddy. Toasty, Peaches drew fan art of us and she hasn't shared it yet and I want to share it. Grump, it's cute. Now leave us. Deleted user, no. Toasty, I'll tag you both more next time just to piss you both off. Deleted user, stop, please. Now again, I had to censor off part of this artwork because I don't feel comfortable sharing it given the context behind it and what it really involves. But simply put, it depicts Toasty's character bathing Teddy's. No extreme nudity is shown within the drawing. However, it is incredibly disturbing given everything that we know about this person and the ages of the people involved. These screenshots are both foul and disgusting. Teddy, again, was 16 to 17 at the time of these screenshots, whereas Toasty was 18 to 19, as previously stated. The actions of Toasty behind closed door and by extension within the FCK led to Teddy and the other minors being normalized to these behaviors and thus didn't speak out. It took the individual known as Ben the Looney, who is by no means a good person, explaining to Teddy that they were being groomed. And when Teddy spoke out about this, they were harassed and threatened by a group associated with Toasty.
This was around the time I had cut Toasty from my life. During this time, Ben Looney pointed out the fact that I was being groomed by Toasty. This was something I had taken, ran with, and had desperately tried to get people to listen to me about. Toasty, hearing about this, gathered up people who didn't like me as well and made an attempt to make a video on me, with evidence they had collected. During this time I will refer to a person named Person A, who would try to join Toasty in making this video about me, since I had beef with them. This video would have included a clip of a Person A who shared a very personal story about my sexual assault. Not only this, but lied to exaggerated it to make it seem like I was lying about how it happened. I don't know what else would have been in that video other than Toasty talking about how I falsely called them a groomer and had lied to everyone about it. Big creators I had shared this with didn't seem to listen, and Toasty had brushed me off as a known liar. Person A had started sending his friends to harass me on Twitter. And not just message me to say slightly mean things. My friends and I were sent self-harm images, all of which were coming from a man twice our age, who was around 30 at the time. The 30-year-old man had sent multiple disturbing images, and had made fun of a friend of mine for siding with me. How did he do this? He sends an anime girl overdosing, to make fun of the fact my friend had lost their sister to an overdose. This harassment went on until I had tried to take my own life, after which, Person A and his friends had a call with me, where I wanted to have a truce. This is where I confront Person A, to which they admit all that was to suicide bait me into killing myself to prove I wasn't going to which I responded, "And what would you have done if I did?" This call was one of the endings to the group's harassment. I was told by Toasty's group to then write an apology for them all, which I was forced to write as I was being blackmailed by one of the people making the video, otherwise they would release it.
Toasty's complete unwillingness to accept responsibility and wanting to silence Teddy is despicable, malicious, and horrendous. The mental and psychological damage and lasting damage that Toasty and those within the FCK have done to these kids can never be undone. However, during the time of 2020, when this drama was going on, Toasty had been confronted by Akumu, and I'll be showing you one of those clips now.
But do you just want me to stay on Twitter when your video goes up just so I can take
It's
the
just
backlash and then leave?
No, either way, it's gonna happen. You can't run from it. If you get off the internet, it's still gonna somehow follow you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what alt account you use. It's gonna happen.
I mean, I don't think it really will, Kumu, but like whatever, we'll see.
Oh, well, everyone said that about the Fushimi
I mean,
video.
here's the thing.
What
You're
happened
not
with
the
Ben
first
Looney
person to
video?
do this. People bigger than you have already called me out on this stuff, and I've already talked to them. I don't know how you don't know this, but you're not the first one to hold.
Now, I'd like everyone who's watching this video to remember this line that Toasty has just said here, because it does not age very well. Now, a lot of Akumu's interview here is going over the Ben Looney situation and what Toasty views as CP. However, this next part shows Toasty's inability to be responsible around minors.
Yeah, you're preaching that you changed, and you clearly haven't.
Have I liked any more underage character porn since then?
Not publicly. We don't know.
Yeah,
we can't trust
obviously
you
not publicly. I mean, I haven't done it privately. I haven't done it privately either, because
How do we know that, though? How do we know that?
Why would you care to know that? To look out for.
So you conveniently had sexualized hat girl in your save file, just in news. Risky.
Oh, no, not in save file. That was a copy paste right from Twitter. I can show you right now the porn I have saved.
No.
You want to see it? I'll show it to you.
Maybe not.
Toasty, you're gonna get yourself in another situation.
Yeah,
because that would be showing.
No.
Toasty,
Please don't.
Ready?
Toasty, you're literally gonna be proving that you're showing porn to minors.
Let's compare dick sizes.
Stop.
Fuck it.
I have a very small porn collection, but I do have
Toasty.
Oh my god.
Stop the live stream, or I'm gonna kick you out.
Hold on. Let Foxtron speak. I can't hear her.
Toasty,
what were you saying?
You're literally gonna prove that you're showing porn to minors.
Are there minors in the school?
Yes! I'm a minor.
Stay to be a kid since the beginning.
Stop!
Oh shit, that's right. Okumu's 16. Yeah, never mind. I'm not showing that.
And you know I'm 17. You know I'm 17.
So I still felt like a minor. So I still, didn't really care.
Yes, as you just saw, Toasty with prior knowledge that Foxon, one of the people in the call, was a minor, given the fact that they were friends at one point before all this happened, knew that they were 17. I highly doubt that they didn't know that Akumu was 17, given how much he has talked about consistently within the FCK server, and yet still didn't even check to see if there are any minors within the group call, before threatening to send pornography within the group chat. It just goes to show Toasty does not give a shit about safeguarding minors when it comes to exposing them to sexual material. Clearly does not see it as a problem. Now we have a base understanding about the FCK, the situation surrounding Toasty in 2020, and their actions within it and the kind of person they are, I can move on to talk about the stuff that I've recently learnt. Firstly, starting with a server that Toasty was in 2020. And to do this, I would like to introduce you to a channel called Timeworks. At the time of recording, Timeworks' channel is currently sitting at 697,000 subscribers, and has existed as early as 2016. Now, looking through their content is quite generic, mainly consisting of challenge videos and some reaction content. But if you flip over to the channel's post section, you will find this. Now, this on the surface may not be worth much thought. Aside from this and a few mentions of Toasty on Twitter, there isn't much in terms of public interaction, but that is until we look closer into their Discord server, currently sitting at 12,000 members and peaked during 2020 due to the COVID-19 outbreak, where a lot of work and mainly schools were cancelled, bringing an increase in membership to the server and the Discord. This server does not allow NSFW topics or discussion due to it not being age-gated and having members as young as 14 within the server, as seen in the server rules. Looking into the members, one in particular stands out, and that is ToastyVanilla herself, with the role of former mod. And after scrolling through the messages, they were mod around the time of the FCK server, and the situation within it that took place. Now again, this is a very large server, and the content around it isn't related to ACC, so Toasty must have stopped their behavior when the server, right? No, of course they didn't. For a point of reference, Toasty was a moderator in the Timeworks server since the 14th of December 2018, and in the time of them being a moderator up until their sudden drop in activity during 2022, which coincides with their removing themselves of their internet presence, Toasty engaged in inappropriate messages in the server. The first instance was them talking about their futanari fetish in the main chat, and even mentioning slummers by name, and talking sexually about said fetish in front of minors within the server, whilst also confirming that they had finished, to the point in which another moderator had to remind them that there were minors present, which Toasty seemed to agree on, only to continue talking about futa. Now, the moderator may have stepped in, however, I do not understand how this wasn't nipped at the bud here and there, and Toasty removed from the server. And given their clear uncaring to what they were saying, this does show that Toasty's inability to speak in the correct manner when minors are present extends to a much more public setting and not just the private FCK server. There is another instance of Toasty inciting a sexual-based topic within the server, by asking if people were of the age of consent to know who she could flirt with openly, which in of itself is still disturbing, given the server contains minors, quite actively, even those who interacted with the question. One even said how they were 14, but they didn't care, and this answer from the minor wasn't explained to be a dangerous thing to happen, and no consequences of these behaviors were punished. If that wasn't enough, there are other cases of Toasty acting inappropriately in this server when talking in public chats, such as constant use of this image depicting Nazi imagery, and this meme showing what seems to be young characters from an anime. Unfortunately, I cannot confirm the ages of said characters, but the depiction itself seems to be quite young. After seeing all this, I decided to contact the server owner, and in turn the channel owner Nick, to ask a few simple questions regarding Toasty and their activity in the server. But I was ignored, despite my emphasis on it being a serious topic, so I approached another moderator, who had been on staff at a similar time as Toasty, who wishes to remain anonymous about these things. Good evening, I am messaging you in regards to an important subject in the form of one of the ex-moderators, and I have a few questions I need to ask you. It's an important subject. The first question I need answered was when was Rule 3 NSFW rule introduced into the server?
Hello, it has been best to my knowledge that Rule 3 has been around for at least about 5 years. It is very likely that the rule has been around for longer because 5 years ago was the start of COVID lockdowns.
A confirmation on that would be very much appreciated, as I can see the message was edited, so it's hard to tell if it was specifically always a role.
I don't know specifically when it came out, but it's safe to say it's been around probably for as long as the server's been open.
My next question would be, when was Toasty removed as mod / stepped down as moderator, and what was the reason given to this?
He was removed as a staff for inactivity. Nick did this with a few of the staff members, so he wasn't plucked out specifically. With inactivity potentially relating to security concerns and so forth, they were removed as staff of April of last year.
I then proceeded to tell the moderator why I was even asking these questions, and the messages that I had shown previously in this video.
I can see why you bring this up. I don't have any reasons for them not being reprimanded in some capacity for some of their inappropriate comments like the ones you've described.
Unfortunately, I would have given some level of leeway if they weren't a moderator. However, given they are, and they should definitely know the rules, and besides that, even if they weren't a mod, they must be aware that there are some minors in the server, given that it is not age gated.
Oh yeah, they definitely were aware that they were minors, as spring and summer 2020 is when the server peaked in activity. Just for the record, I don't condone the messages he sent.
There is actually one point I would like to correct, as I don't know how I missed it and I do apologize for doing so. An admin did tell them to cut it out. However, considering this behavior happened more than once, like asking if people were of age or consent, I'd say that's enough to have removed them as a mod.
I do agree that the owner ought to have done something and obviously didn't at that time. Staff are permitted to ask people of their ages if and only that they are suspicious of any eligibility to be on the Discord in the first place. See Discord TOS section 2. This does not apply to the latter, so ought not to have been asked.
Also, given that Toasty during 2020 was 18 turning 19, an adult in a server with minors as young as, according to the rules, 14, it's unacceptable.
The rules do allow minors as young as 13, the age in which you're allowed to join Discord in the US, but that doesn't change anything with what we've discussed.
The last question I asked the moderator was if Nick knew about the events around Toasty in 2020.
Not until right before Toasty was banned. He was banned a couple days ago.
I have to condone this as being silently done, given Toasty is a known groomer and there are minors in the server. Surely an announcement to bring awareness and to see if there are victims would be something that needs to be done.
We don't want to bring a widespread attention to the issue.
The staff don't want it known that a previous moderator was a child groomer.
Be that as it may, I won't be commenting any further.
To say the least, I wasn't impressed given how they wanted to sweep this under the rug and not address it publicly. Given the track record of Toasty, there could have been potential other victims from this server. And 2 days after my conversation with the moderator, Toasty's account was banned from the server, which is still too little too late. Now, given the size of Timeworks' channel, he benefits a lot from just not interacting with anything to do with this, because he can seemingly sweep it under the rug. But hopefully, this part of the video has given people some further understanding of the kind of person that ToastyVanilla was, and the people that enabled their behavior and allowed them to continue acting in these spaces in the way that they have been. However, speaking of sweeping, Thanks to Teddy's own video they made about their experience with ToastyVanilla and Lako Malaka's live streams on the FCK, I was curious about one part, and that was Toasty's apparent previous attempt to rebrand as a VTuber under the name Ruby Missile Launcher. So, as the nosy Yenna I am, I went to Twitter, searched the name, and didn't get a lot. But then I remembered the name in Ruby's old Twitter banner, Corbett. That led me to a collab stream with Corbett and a user with the same VTuber model and similar name to the old one, called RubyLighterFluid. If you wanted to run away, you did an amazing job doing so. Then I found their Twitch, compared the voices for my own sanity, and yes, this was ToastyVanilla. Streaming in 2025 without a care in the world and hiding out in the VTubing community, doing collabs and streams with others, mainly doing Hearts of Iron streams and the likes. I came to the conclusion that Toasty, now Ruby, had either hid their past or lied to these people to get away from responsibility of what they did. So I started collecting names and looking into their Discord servers, and thankfully nothing came up, given the fact that Ruby seemed to only join said server to collab on live streams, and they seem to have not had a community Discord server of their own, and so I approached them all at the same time, sending the same message of, "Good morning, afternoon, evening. I am messaging you in regards to a bad actor in the community. Are you aware of a person called ToastyVanilla?" To be honest, I should have been less surprised by the response, given past situations, but again, here we are, and I would like to go through with them one by one. Firstly, I'll go through the ones who blocked me on reception of the message immediately, those being both Kate Fishin, a Twitch streamer with 543 followers, who I sent a message at the same time as the others, and Xeria Morningstar, someone who had since deleted their Twitch, but their Clips channel remains up, whose Discord I joined but was quickly banned from after attempting to message them. Now for Xeria's case, I can assume that they had been forewarned about me looking into Ruby, as it was about a week after I sent my original messages. But for Kate Fishin, I only mentioned ToastyVanilla, which means they must have had an understanding of why I would be mentioning it to them. Again, meanwhile for Xeria, the only currently still public instance of their collaboration with Ruby is a tweet from 2023, showing the evidence of Toasty's past rebrand attempt even then, which leads me on to the next person, Corbett. Corbett is the person who I found Toasty's newest identity through, a YouTube streamer / creator with 61.7k subscribers, who did respond to my message and had apparently been previously contacted regarding Ruby as seen.
An associate of yours, I assume, has very recently messaged me regarding this matter. Please do not contact me again and consider informing any other person who may also wish to contact me about this.
Now, given the fact Ruby's Discord account was still in Corbett's server, and the fact that he knew about Ruby even when they were using the name Ruby Missile Launcher, I again only used the name Toasty in my messages. I find it hard to believe that they hadn't seen the information pertaining to them and the actions they did in 2020. Again, I want to have some level of good faith with these people, however it's very hard to, given how public Toasty's actions are, and if these people hadn't looked into it themselves, it's a minimum gross negligence. Rex Silvermoon. Rex Silvermoon is a Twitch streamer with 126 followers who seemed confused at the Toasty name, but when I mentioned their new name...
So you're contacting me about your old beef. A, I'm not in the HOI community, and B, keep your crusade to yourself, please.
They then swiftly blocked me. But don't worry, this isn't the last we will hear of them in this video. Team Anilia. Team Anilia is a YouTube streamer / content creator with 2.31k subscribers. Their content based mainly around video games. And this was their response to my message.
Hi there. No, I am not. What's going on?
As you can see, they feign ignorance into knowing who I'm referring to, but once I show the links to Teddy's statement and Akuma's FCK video, and name Toasty by their current name, they have this reaction.
Alright, I know what this is. I have reason to doubt your statement about only looking into this year. Numerous people, creators included, have come to Ruby's defense with very compelling evidence and arguments. I happen to know Ruby very well, both online and in person. I also know about you, your group, and its nonsense. I am a victim of sexual assault and grooming as a teen. Ruby has helped me in the process quite a lot and has been there for me in extremely dark times. They are a supportive, kind, honest, sincere person. They also readily admitted their past flaws and mistakes to me, none of which are as extreme as the crap being lobbed at them. I take shit like this very fucking seriously. You lot have been following them for years with your absolute bullshit. Stay the fuck out of my DMs, away from my fucking community, and kindly go fuck yourself.
Now, I can understand it being very difficult to come to terms with someone who has been supportive and caring for you and has helped you through dark times actually being a bad person. And I in no way will sit here and discredit them helping Ancilia through their trauma. However, the sheer blindness and downplaying of what Ruby did is disheartening. This point will apply for the next person I mention, but calling what Ruby is being accused of as bullshit, and the fact that they explained their quote-unquote flaws to you will never undo the damage they did to children. Oh, and the years of following them was simply due to their group covering for them and pointing the arrow at a 16-year-old who had actual proof about their awful actions. After blocking me, they banned me from their Discord server, in which they then made an announcement stating,
Banned Yen the Yan, harassing Ruby and falsely accusing her of grooming. Listen here, I am a victim myself. I take stuff like this very fucking seriously. Bullshit like this is why actual victims are never fucking believed or heard. Even though bad actors like this are such a small minority of claims and accusations, they do irreparable damage and harm. Take a good fucking read.
So, before in DMs, you admit Ruby did wrong, even if downplaying. But in your announcement it's utter falsities and the victims of FCK aren't real victims? Real fucking nice. The final note for Team Ancilia is this tweet they made shortly after.
Dear drama channels trying to drag me into a thing that I frankly don't care for and want little to do with, instead of, spying on me and stalking my community, why not just come out and talk to me in an honest fashion instead of trying to lie to me and deceive me?
I struggle to understand what I said to you as dishonest, Ancilia, and if you call joining a public Discord server stalking, that's idiotic and backwards. And last I checked, videos with documented screenshots and years-long evidence is far from deception. Lady Saffron. Lady Saffron is a YouTube streamer at 12.3k subscribers, and is another person in Ruby's close friend group, along with Ancilia, as seen in this tweet and evident in their stream that Ruby edited for Saffron in 2023, still under the missile launcher name, and the response was just as colourful.
I know exactly who you are. Leave my server and every one of my friends right fucking now. You will not harass an innocent woman, understand? Where the hell do you get off going and contacting streamers just to harass someone?
I am not harassing anybody, I am simply making sure you are aware of who the individual is, and I'm sure you know that person now goes by RubyLighterFluid.
I know damn well who she is, and I know she's one of the only good people on the internet. And I know who you are as well, and I know your ilk have been tracking her for years, trying to harass her. So don't play that shit with me, it's not flying.
I have only looked into this year. I think you are confusing me with somebody else. I genuinely don't know who you could be confusing me with, but if you would like, I can link one of the many videos explaining this person's actions.
I've seen the videos, and I know you're all a bunch of idiots if you think you can just come out here and harass innocent people. I've already contacted all other streamers you're bothering and told them to ban you from their servers.
So, you're fully aware of what Toasty did? Fully?
Fuck off.
I genuinely don't want you to be misinformed. I've seen it time and time again, where someone will feed a story to those they call friends to make themselves look good. I would at minimum please like you to at least listen to a video done by a victim. As you can see, the wording used is similar to Ancilia, and also mention years of harassment, and clearly aware of their ToastyVanilla identity. Again, what I said about Ancilia applies here as well. Half of me wants to think that these people have never properly looked at the evidence against Ruby, and Ruby herself has fed them a pretty up version about what happened. But again, with Ancilia claiming to have seen the videos made, I find this hard to believe. And it's all well and good of Ruby admitting a small level of fault behind closed doors, but given the only official statement ever made of FCK was this from Toasty's server years ago. This means absolutely nothing and no willingness to admit fault of their actions, and the fact Toasties never once planned to stop engaging in online content creation from their attempts at rebranding and hiding from responsibility, and the fact that after all these messages I sent to their colleagues, they seemingly left all their servers, and from what I can see, their Discord account along with their Twitch. It's clear to me that they plan to keep running away. Or so I thought. As I was editing this video, I received a friend request from Rex Silvermoon, and curious and hoping they had actually looked into what kind of a person Ruby was, I accepted, where they told me that Ruby had asked them to mediate a call between us, which confused me, given the fact that throughout this entire process, I had never once attempted to contact Ruby. But I agreed, but asked if I could bring someone else with me, given the fact that Rex was very much biased, as they had chalked up what Ruby did as the mistakes of a barely 18-year-old, despite the fact that Ruby was 18 turning 19 in the events of FCK, and even then, is piss poor logic. I had asked the big bad lion man, Lio Convoy, to be present, and as soon as that was passed to Ruby, they seemingly got cold feet, and the call never ended up happening, and Rex reblocked me. The way I'm interpreting this is that Ruby thought that they could spin up some pretty story about what happened, something I can only assume that they did with their friends, or they simply assumed I was a clout goblin who didn't know much about the FCK, given my small presence in the space, and the presence of Lio would have definitely proved that wrong. Simply put, being a bitch. But if you're watching this video, Ruby, I'd still love to have a chat. I'll even ask for Let to boil up a cup of tea. My final thoughts. The events of FCK may have happened years ago, but the actions of those involved are still felt to this day. The events of FCK may have happened years ago, but the actions of those involved are still felt to this day. And the long-term effects of trauma of the victims of Ruby and the others in FCK shouldn't be dismissed. I understand that people may learn and grow, but that requires action. That requires taking accountability for what you did and not simply slipping into another space, especially in the case of circles I mentioned previously that have minimal age gating in their servers and communities. For Timeworks, take issues raised to you seriously. Ruby should have never stayed in that server as long as they did, and given a simple word search in your server, your mods really need to be a bit more strict, given the fact of how young your community is. For the VTubers in this video, cutting off a friend who has done horrible things is difficult, but the correct thing to do. Allowing this person to fester in your spaces only opens up for the possibility of them to continue as they once were. I mean, do you really want to keep up the stereotype of horrible people hiding out in the VTubing sphere to continue? And finally, to all the people who have sat through this very long video, thank you. This video took a while to make, with many bumps in the roads, such as my new microphone simply not working, meaning I had to record all of this on my phone. A special thanks to those on screen for lending their voices for this video, and the creator of this video's thumbnail, Hidden Heroine, who is currently working on a Mount Olympus video, so go subscribe to them to see when it comes out. This has been Yen, please like and subscribe, I'm going to bed.